And good evening, good morning, good day, wherever you are in the world. And thank you once again for joining yet another. These Thursdays come around quick, don't they? Yet another live stream from a home in Italy. My name's David Benton, and together with my wife, Silvana, we've been helping people for the last 15 years, more than 15 years, buy, restore, and relocate to beautiful Italy, and in particular, Abruzzo. So thank you again for joining us. Thank you for all the support. As usual, if it's the first time you've seen us, then where have you been? Let us know where you are in the world. Let me know that I'm not just talking to myself, because for some strange reason this software doesn't want to tell me how many people are on, how many people are watching. Don't know why, but there you go. So let us know where you are in the world right away in the what's it called, chat box. That's the word I'm looking at. Just noticed now that people from Facebook are just joining us. A few people from Florida. There's quite a lot of people from Florida that are looking to relocate. What's happening? What's happening out there? Tell me, Floridians. Is that what they call you? Anyway, if it is the first time, then please let us know where you are. Let us know that it's your first time as well. It's always good to know. And just keep these messages coming so we know everything is working okay while I run through for the first 5-10 minutes, run through a few notices and all the rest of it. So tonight's subject is what's this? I've been here all my life. Where have you been? There you go. That's completely thrown me off now. So tonight's stream, once Tony just turns off this this chat, if you will, is contracts, deposits, and payments. Tonight, I'm going to talk about how to get organized, how to get ready for what is going to happen, how to get ready for the journey that is ahead, because I am the most unorganized person in the world. Well, maybe not in the world. I think Tony's a bit more unorganized. Tony, by the way, is our producer who's in the background, and he is back in tonight. He's actually in Tallinn at the moment. Woo! Tallinn in Estonia. So yes. Everything effects are all going to start coming, so you're going to get cheering, you're going to get air horns, you're going to get a bit of everything. But he is back, so there you go. Makes my life a little bit easier. So let's tell you. So tonight, contracts, deposits, and payments. I'll go through a little bit more what that's about in a second. Next week, bearing in mind we are in August time now, so things in Italy do start to slow down a little bit. So I am going to keep these going, but we are closing very soon, but we will keep our Thursday nights going. So I don't know what kind of condition I'm going to be in when we're doing these live streams, because it's Festa time. And, you know, Festa time, you've got to enjoy yourself a little bit, haven't you? It's rude not to. So on the 10th of August, which for all of those people that may be interested, is one day after my birthday, which is obviously the 9th of August, but I won't mention it. I'm not expecting anything, but if, you know, anybody you want to wish me happy birthday on that time, then it's the 9th of August. Did I say the 9th? 9th. So this is the 10th, the day after the event. We're talking about how to save thousands on foreign exchange. We're seeing my good friend who is based in Florida, David Nixon, from a fantastic foreign currency exchange. He's been on here a couple of times. He's going to tell us how to do it. This ties in quite well with tonight about getting organized. And this guy is going to help in a big way and tell you how to do things to save yourself literally loads of money, because people concentrate on making offers or trying to get a little bit of a deal on this and which is fine, and completely forget how you can really save some money. So this is going to be a great one. And also I have put a link to their services in the YouTube description. So if you go onto that, once I start talking about tonight and we start talking about the kind of services that David offers as well, you will find the link to it on YouTube. So that's next Thursday, the 10th, and you know that's the day after, you know, don't you? Anyway, the 17th, which is 8 days after the main event, I will stop. I might keep it on going all year. On the 17th of August, inside the notary office. Done this one before, but a couple of new things in, and it is an important one. We're going to tell you what actually happens when it gets to the end, when everything's finished and you're faced with the notary, or maybe you've got a power of attorney, something like that, how it all works, what the notary does, how the contract's made up, all the boring stuff. We have to do a little bit of boring stuff because I'm going to be in party mode, and we need to get me sort of brought back down to earth after the 15th, because the 15th is a huge festa in Italy. The 15th, which is 6 days after the other huge festa that I've just been telling you about. I did mention that, didn't I? Anyway, so that's the 17th, and then on the 24th of August, meet the home buyers again. Now, I really want to get Pete. I haven't spoke to Pete about this yet, but we all see Pete Rondo was on here all the time. And I am wanting to get Pete. I'm just waiting because there's a couple that come tomorrow that remote bought a property. Here's Pete, this guy. I keep saying he's going to come on. So Pete, it may be August. If it's not August, it'll be September. I'm trying to get things in a certain order because there's another couple that are coming out tomorrow, and I've not asked them yet. And I'm just trying to sort of get all these in schedule. And they actually bought a property sight unseen, as the vast majority of people do. Obviously, they follow my videos and all the rest of it. And we did a video of the property, and they're coming to see it for the first time tomorrow. So if they're on the 24th, that means it all went okay. If Pete's on, then it all went Pete Tong, as we say. But no, it shouldn't do it. It should all work out perfectly. But Pete's definitely going to come on. And what's he say? I'll be here whenever you want to schedule it. What a guy. Top man. I do want to actually try and schedule you, Pete, with when we talk about some of the areas around Sulmona, and especially the place that you bought in. That's why I'm trying to think where best to slot you in, but you're definitely going to be on here. So that's the 24th. That's the meet the home buyers. Then on the 31st, I'm on holiday. So yeah, unfortunately, you'll have to miss me for the 31st, but I will be back the week after. So there you go. But yeah, the 31st will be. I may try and do a little bit of a live from a secret destination, because strangely enough, I think I mentioned this before, but we're off to Sardinia, and I've sort of tied in a little business while I'm there, which my wife is absolutely thrilled about. I'm going to see a couple of properties while I'm over there, and some contacts which look like great contacts. So I may do sort of a bit of a secret, not a secret. What's the word? Something live in a secret location. But we'll have to decide on that. It depends if I'm allowed to or not. We'll see what happens. What else have I got to say? Go on, Tony, you can put a few more comments up if you like. I'm sure plenty of people are writing in the chat box, so I'll let him get on with that. The other thing I will say while Tony's putting those on is the tours. People are contacting me about the October tours that we've got booked, the 12th and 13th and 26th and 27th. They are completely full. It's fantastic. We've got a full coach, and we've put a car to travel alongside the coach just to try and get some extra people in there. But unfortunately, we're completely full. The only chance of anybody coming on the October tours would be a single person, one person we can fit on each tour. So if you're thinking about traveling on your own, then we can slot you in either to the 12th and 13th of October or the 26th and 27th. If not, unfortunately, it's just not going to be possible, because we'd have to have people sat on the roof rack and sort of on top of the coach and all that kind of thing. We just can't do it, unfortunately. And here's Paul. It's Uncle Paul. Did you just go back one there? I can't believe this is my wife's uncle that sits and watches my wife's auntie and uncle. There, Paul Fields. Hello from Dublin. I can't believe you sit there on a Thursday night watching this, but there you go. I've said hello to you now. The first time I went to Dublin, everybody, because my wife was born in Dublin, and I thought the Brits drank. I thought we knew how to drink. When I went to Dublin, my life changed. I remember very little of the first trip, but there you go. That's a story for another time. Okay, so that's everybody in. So just to let you know about the tours, as I said, October is full. If somebody is still looking to come over just to view properties and that kind of thing, then obviously you can come at any time with no problem at all. Just let me know by email, and we will get you booked in with no problem at all. What was this? Alex is saying you and Tony, the two most non-organized people. It's about right. Yeah, that is true. I'm not going to argue against that one. Okay, so next year, talk about next year now. These are the tours. If Tony will just Nicholas saying, hi Dave, just a quick question. I was about to go out and we'll watch on replay. Did you get my email about the upcoming tour? Nicola, if it's one for next year's tour for January, and here's the dates, then I've had a number of emails that all I've got to do is just create a new form to put on the website. And this form is driving me insane, and it will be done. I've got everybody that's sent saying that they wanted to come next year. I've got people on there. By Saturday, the form should be on there where people can go on there, book it, and everything else. So don't worry, I have got people's emails. So next year, the tours are January the 25th, 26th, March 21st, 22nd, and May 23rd and 24th. Anybody that doesn't know what these tours are, basically, they're just fantastic things. Just come on them. That's it. That's all you got to do. Just come to Italy and join us. So we usually get together the day before. We have an aperitivo evening. So that will be obviously the day before each one of these dates. It is a Wednesday. The tours are on the Thursday and the Friday. We collect anybody coming from the UK from Pescara Airport the day before, so on the Wednesday. And we also drop back off on Saturday. Anybody coming from anywhere else in the world, so from the US, wherever, you can easily get to the hotel where we suggest, which is the G Hotel in Pescara, or you can stay anywhere in Pescara, because we collect from the G Hotel that is right next to the railway station. So if anybody needs picking up from anywhere around maybe Chieti, Pescara, we can do that with no problem at all. Or just make your way to the centre of Pescara. We get together on the Wednesday, aperitivo evening, have a bit of a chat about what's going to happen. And then on the Thursday and Friday, you're collected on a coach, and we visit a number of towns and villages. We look at all sorts of properties of different types. I'm there, Tony's there, my wife's there. We're there to stay with you all the time to go through how things work out here. And we just go and look at a bit of everything. These tours, they're really good because you get to meet people as well that are looking for similar things to you or similar ideas to you. You always end up making friends, and that's the great thing about these tours as well. So that's on the Thursday and the Friday. It includes lunch as well. It includes your travel while you're here. Obviously, it doesn't include your airline or your hotel, but it includes travel while you're here. It includes your lunch. It includes the aperitivo evening. It's £295 per head. And they're just fantastic things. You don't have to hire a car, you don't need nothing. We just take you around, you see lots of everything, and it really helps you narrow down your search. So I would definitely suggest booking these if you do want to come on them. And as I say, people that have sent me emails already that have said they want to come on, don't worry, your places are blocked, and we will be getting in touch with you really, really soon. So if you want to send an email to info@homeanditaly.com, then let me know which date you want, and we will book you on there. And the form, as soon as that form's on, I will be email the whole database. So if you're registered on our website, if you've registered your email on our website, you will get information on that. So there you go. That's our notices. That was a long one today. That was oh no, sorry, Tony's holding a sign up for me. Euros, not pounds. It's 295. We've got this little thing going off now because I can see what he's doing on a tiny screen at the bottom, and he holds things up to the sort of, all I see is his hand waving around like this, and then he's holding things up to me. So yeah, 295 euros, not pounds. Okay. Katie saying, ciao, Dave. I can't wait to get my husband's tour date set for next year. Looks like I better hurry. There's still plenty of spaces at the moment, so don't worry about that. I'm sure we will fit you on with no problem at all. I've not really started doing the advertising yet, so it's mainly people on here for now. Hi from the UK, coming over tomorrow. Superb. It's quite hot at the moment, even though it's set to break at the weekend, but there you go. Okay, so we better get started on tonight's subject, aren't we? Because people are going to be saying, what's this all about? 15 minutes in, and he hasn't even started the subject. So what are we talking about? Katie, addition, is the weather typically favourable, as in no heavy snow in January for touring? I love January. The cooler, the better for me. January is great. The snow, we will be unfortunate. It's going to happen now, though, isn't it? I just know it is. We get very few days of snow. The mountains are obviously always full of snow, but you this year, I don't even know if we've had any. Maybe just 2 or 3 days, something like that. So if the tour happens to land on that time, then we're just going to be going to a restaurant and just staying there for 3 days continuously. I know a brilliant restaurant that probably let us even sleep in the restaurant as well. So we will do something. But no, usually I think January is a great time to come out, to be honest with you, because you see the place, dare I say, at its worst. And I mean that in the nicest way possible, because there's never a bad time. So I think January it always used to be the most popular when I used to do the tours years ago. I think January is a great time to come, so you can see it at its coldest. And yeah, I think it's a brilliant time. And the other one, March and May time, beautiful times. Okay, so tonight we're talking a little bit about some of the contracts that you may face when you're out here, when payments are expected, and how to make these payments. Because, as I said earlier, people are just not organized when it comes to, if you're serious about buying a property, there's certain things that I really think you should start organizing now. And I've said it quite a lot. I've said it about the Codis Fiscal. I do get lots of people saying that they're trying to get the Codis Fiscals, which is the tax code, off the Italian consulate webpage. But some people are saying they're not able to, because it says that you need to be buying a property and all the rest of it. Somebody sent me a link, and it was a really helpful link, what one of the consulates actually wrote. And they said that unless you've got a contract and all the rest of it, proof of buying, then you can't apply for a Codis Fiscal. That's actually a bit stupid. And I will say so myself. Sorry, people of the consulates, but how can you get into a legally binding contract if you don't have a Codis Fiscal? But basically what I found out, what it looks like is some of the Italian consulates around the world are basically saying that it's too much hassle for them to do it. So get people in Italy to do it for you. You'd have to send what they call a delegate to delegate somebody. But what if you have an agent that says, well, we don't do that? Because that's not an agent's job at the end of the day. So, but I have seen some of these consulate pages saying that. But then if you read at the bottom, it actually said at the bottom, if you only need a paper version, so if you only need the number and a paper version, then complete the process here. And it's right at the very bottom. So if your consulate's saying, basically go away and stop bothering us, keep reading down, because it said if you don't need the card version and you just need a number, then do it. And do that. It doesn't matter if you haven't got a card, an actual card. You can get one of those later if you want. All you need is the official number and the piece of paper. Some people I read on one of the social media channels where people said just go on to certain websites and they'll give you a number. They just make it up. You shouldn't do that. The chance is that it is going to be the right number, because there is a way that you can, these numbers are got, and there are certain websites saying that you can put your name, put your date of birth, where you're born, all the rest of it, and will generate your number. But you shouldn't risk that. You need the official one from the official Agenzia delle Entrate, so from the tax offices here. So don't try and use these websites, but just look on your consulate one, go down to the bottom and just get the normal paper one. It's no big deal. As long as you've got your number, that's all that matters. So as well as things like that, you do need to start thinking about, when you come to Italy, if you find a property that you love. So many people, when they write emails to me, and they will say, when do we start paying? Can we start paying for your services now? Can we start doing this? I always say to people, keep your money in your pocket for now, because until we get to a certain point, until you find your house and say to me, Dave, help me get this house, I don't want to take anything from you. There's certain services that we do. If people send us to wherever to go and look at a house and give our opinion on it, take video of it and all the rest of it, and the pay for it, that's a different type of thing. But lots of people sort of they keen to start spending money almost, which is fine. I understand that people start to think in a certain way, but there's certain things that people are not prepared for, and that is how serious it can get and how quick it can turn to something serious. So during these times when you're not coming out, or maybe you're coming out next month, or maybe you're coming out early next year, there's a few things that I want to say to you to get sorted out before you go out. And then I'm going to go through some of the contracts that you may face and all the rest of it. So the Codis Fiscal, if you can, I would say to sort that out if you can. If you can't, then that's something that can be got afterwards, with no problem at all. But I would say that is a big one. The second one is about the funds and about getting funds ready, because again, lots of people will say, when can we start paying? And people can pay by credit card and things like that. But there's, when you buy a house or when you're putting a deposit down, you can't use credit cards, you can't use things like that. It just doesn't, it's not as fast. All of a sudden people then get stuck and think, okay, I need to send this money, but how am I going to send the money? I can't pay by credit. I can't ring the estate agent up and say, okay, the deposit for that house is 5k. I'll put that on my card. Can I pay? And all of a sudden then people get into a flap and think, I don't know what I need to do. So I would definitely say this is a little bit of push for next week's live stream, but join next week's live stream. Listen to the guy I'm going to bring in, David, who was a good friend of mine that works for a foreign exchange company. Get your account set up. If you follow the link in YouTube, it is an affiliate link. I will say that it's an affiliate link. That doesn't bear any relevance to the rates that you get, because you will get the best rates from them possible, and that David guarantees everybody that. It is an affiliate link, but it comes from their profits. We get a small percentage for passing people on. That's live, isn't it? So, but I will tell you that it is an affiliate link. But click on that, open the account. It's completely free of charge. Get registered straight away. Find out how it works. If you're dead serious about doing this, you need to have the funds in the right place. Don't just think to yourself, okay, I've got 50k sat in my bank account, I'm good to go. You're not. That means nothing if you've no way of getting that, whatever it is, over to somebody in a safe, secure way. So this one's a big one. I would definitely register using the link, as I say, in the YouTube description. It's completely free of charge. Register so you're on there. Read about how it works, and then watch next week's stream, live stream, where David will actually tell you how you can save money, all the rest of it. And then you're ready. You're good to go. Maybe you want to start moving some funds now. If you're definitely sure you're going to buy something, maybe the euro rate's favorable at you at the moment. You just think, you know what, let's just get something sat there in a place that it's ready to go. It's still in your account. It's still in your name. Everything's still, you know, that, but you're in control. You've got this, you've got stage one done. I think that is a massive one. I've written this down so many times. Just don't get caught out when it comes to tax, because we all think I've got ages to sort that out. But then it comes to a bit of a problem then when you've got to wait. Maybe you've opened the account with the FX company, but maybe they haven't done the checks, or maybe there's your state, if you're from the US, will only allow certain types of transfers. You need to be in there ready and find out 100%. If I'm in Italy and I need to get my hands on 5k, 10k, am I able to change it? How do I change it? These are the sort of things that you really need to be ready for. So that for me is a huge one. The other thing, what I will say, is about power of attorneys. When people come out, so many times they don't think about whether they can get back to sign a contract. So let's say you find a property in Italy, you definitely want that, you've fallen in love with it. The agents are going to be ready, because it's a normal thing, to get your pen to paper. And the minute you do that, the stopwatch is ticking away. This is, I get so many people that have said, we came out 2 months ago, found something, fell in love with it, left our signature, left, you know, wired some funds over and all the rest of it, and they didn't even think about what happens next. You know, do they need to come back? Can you come back? If you're doing something within 3 months, can you come back? Or do you need to start preparing a power of attorney? These are huge, huge things that you need to think about now. So before you trip over, Codis Fiscal, if you can, definitely get registered with their FX company. I recommend the people who's coming on next week, because you'll see next week, and it's been on past webinar, is a great person to deal with. And I think the exchange rates are good as well. There's lots of exchange companies out there. You can bring lots of different people. I'm a people person. I like to work with certain people who I think I could trust to get on with, and all the rest of it. That's just me. But those two steps are really important. The second one, can I get back? Because there's so many things in life that you think you can do remotely, which you can. We do lots of things remotely. Like the people that's coming tomorrow, we're giving them the keys for their house. They've never seen it before. They've never set foot in Abruzzo before. They've never set foot, obviously, in the town where they're buying, neither in the house. Everything's been done. I've got the keys. Their money's left their account. It's gone where it should have done. It's their house. So everything can be done remotely, but it takes time. So if you sign a contract, that it says within 30 days you have to do something, you think, okay, well, 30 days, yeah, we can sort that. I can just send the money out there. How's somebody going to sign for you? You can't just say, well, just send it over the internet and I'll do it on one of those DocuSign. Because so many people say to me, can't I just do that? Can't I just do maybe DHL it or whatever courier you want to use, or all these secure signing places? People just think that that's how it works. It's not. It's not like that at all. You need to be ready. You need to know the kind of time limits that you've got, because to get a power of attorney, for instance, if you were to be your power of attorney for something, and you contacted me tomorrow and said, Dave, I need you to be a power of attorney for me to buy this property. For me to sort out the power of attorney and get it written and sent to you is not a lot of time. You've then got to go to the notary wherever you are in the world, and then you need to get the apostle stamp on it. Now, to get the apostle stamp, it has to go to the Secretary of State's office or the equivalent in whichever country you're in. So in the UK, it goes to, completely forgot the name of it. What's it called, Tony? Anyway, I can't remember. Foreign Office. If you're in Canada, it's probably called something else. And that's where the delay may be. So all of a sudden you're thinking, oh, it's ages away, I've got a month, it's no problem at all. It doesn't work like that. That's why you really need to be prepared. So the other main thing to consider is, can I make it back? I've come out to Italy now. Let's say you've come out today, you found a property, you've signed a particular contract, and I'm going to go through the kind of contracts you'll see when you're here now. I've signed this contract, I've paid my 5K, whatever else it is. They've put a completion date within a couple of months. Can I get back? You need to know that even before you come out. Are you just planning on coming out and then saying, okay, I found something, I like it, I want to get, I want to get a power of attorney for somebody else to sign for it. Then there's things to consider, which we're going to go through tonight as well. If I get the power of attorney, then what happens to the money? Where does the money go? Do I send it to the power of attorney? Do I send it to the notary? Do I keep it somewhere else that I can wire it on the day? There's all these things to consider. So when you give power of attorney to somebody, it has to be somebody that you trust. It has to be somebody that you think to yourself, yeah, I want this person to do it on your behalf. But there's certain considerations that you need to have. And one of them is, where is the money going? Which is why tonight is called contracts, deposits, and payments. So you can see how it all works. So let's start running through some of the contracts that this is where I start sharing the screen and something will definitely go wrong. This particular contract, I want to tell you about this one. Attestazione di visita. This is not really, well, it is a serious contract, and it's quite an unusual one. And sometimes people, well, I would say the vast majority of people have never heard of this one. And what it is, the way agents work, the way registered estate agents work here in Italy, and I still see, even though it's been discussed so many times on different social media, where people will say, does it work like the realtor system in the US? Does it work like this particular system or that particular? It has its own system, and usually what happens is estate agents will have their own properties. So Joe Blogs or Mario Blogs will go into an estate agent and say, I want to sell my property. Can I advertise it with you? And lots of times, most agents will say, yes, you can, but you have to give me what they call an exclusive contract. Ron's saying, when I'm there with you, will I be able to do power of attorney then? If we have time, Ron, yes. If not, we can easily do it. We can easily do it sort of by email, and you doing it back in the, I think you're from the States, if I remember rightly. But yes, if we have a time, you can do it here as well. Where was I? Completely lost my train of thought, and I really have. Oh yeah, attestazione di visita. That's what we're talking about. So when people have what we call an exclusive contract, that means that that property can only be sold using the services of that particular estate agent. And some estate agents will work with others. Some estate agents will have nothing to do with others and just want everything themselves. That is just the way it is. So each estate agent will have their 100 houses, wherever it may be. Out of that 100 houses, maybe 80 of them are on what they call an exclusive contract. It means that the person is signed only to sell through that particular agent, nobody else. Somebody else comes along, said, I've seen a property that you've got. I've got a client that really likes that. Can I show them? Some agents will say, yes, no problem, let's go together. And some will say, no, you need to send them to us. Now, the reason why they do that is to secure the payments that they're going to the commissions, basically, because here you get the commission both from buyer and seller. And that's the way it works when you're an estate agency. You collect the same amount from buyer and seller, and they obviously want to protect that because that's the job that they do. So what they do is, potentially, when you see properties with certain agents, you will be asked to sign an attestazione di visita. And I personally don't like these things, but I understand why they do them. And what it is, some agents will not even take you to the property until you've gone into the office and signed one of these. Some agents will bring it out when they're actually at the property. And what this says is that you have seen that particular property with that agent, and that you understand that if you want to buy that property, that you have to pay the estate agent the commission. The idea behind it is, let's say I go to see a house with an estate agent. I say, that's very nice, really good. Leave it a couple of days, find the owner myself, and then say to the owner, look, I've seen it with them. Let's bypass the agents. You don't need to pay commission. I don't need to pay commission. We'll get it a little bit cheaper, and so on and so on. Everyone's a winner, so to speak. This document stops that, because that means then that you've agreed, you've signed to say that you've seen it with that particular agent, and that you understand that if you want to buy the property, you have to do it through them and you have to pay a commission. If you then decide to try and get round that and see the owner himself or herself, then you're going to get a letter, and you will definitely get one, a letter coming through saying that you owe commission, and they can sue you with no problem at all, because it's there, it's written. So that's a contract that lots of people find strange. Not everybody does it, but you will find that lots of traditional estate agents will do that. Now, it should really, when you're signing something, it should be in English as well as Italian, because obviously I'm presuming the vast majority of people don't speak Italian. So you could throw that one at them and just say, especially if they pull out this document while you're at the property, you could say, I'm sorry, but I don't sign anything that I don't know, that I don't understand, which is right as well. But be prepared that some agents will expect you to go into the office first before you actually consider, before they consider taking you out to the property. Then this is presuming that you're buying through an estate agent. It's slightly different if you're buying through private people. Or let's say some people contact me and they say, Dave, I found a great house, want to buy this one, but it's direct with the owner. Can you sort everything out with us? We use a slightly different technique, slightly different system than this one. But with estate agents, the first contract that you'll be asked to sign if you really like a property is this one, a proposta di acquisto, a proposal to buy. That's what that means. Now, these are serious documents. This is why, if you like something, straight in the UK, I don't know about any other countries, but in the UK, the buying properties and things for me is a little bit of a mad thing, because you could go out one day and say, yeah, I like that property, and put an offer in for that one, and put an offer in for another 5 or 6 properties, and just wait to see which one comes in, and you can, I don't know, mess people around a little bit, do whatever you want. Here, it's not like that. Here, it's usually put the money where your mouth is, and sorry to use that turn of phrase, but that's the way it is, which is why I'm saying you need to be prepared for this kind of thing should you want to go ahead. When you sign a proposal to buy, it's quite a simple document, and what it's saying is, it's saying, I am this person, I've seen this property, and I propose to the owner of this property an offer of €100,000, and it will have all the details of the property, just basic details of the property, and it has basic things in there to say that if it's accepted, then the signing date will be done before this. The owner is aware that all the documents have got to be correct and in order, ready before the signing date and all the rest of it. Otherwise, there's penalties. It's quite a simple document. It's a proposal to buy, and lots of times agents won't even speak to the owners unless you've done a proposal. So if you say to an agent, I'd like to put an offer in for €90,000 for that property's on for 100. It's not guaranteed that they're going to speak to the owner. What they will say is, come into the office, we need a written proposal. and a written proposal that will then give some sort of financial commitment to say, I want to make an offer to you of X amount of euros for your property. If you accept that, my proposal, then you can keep this check if you've got a bank account over here, or you will send a bank transfer to them within so many days of the proposal, and everybody signs this document, and it's fixed. An estate agent can draw that kind of document up. Perfectly legal for them to do that for both buyer and seller. They tie both people in, and at that point, their job's actually finished if they want to. An estate agent has done the job. They've legally bound you and the seller to a particular property, and in there's clauses to say what happens if you don't buy it in the end and all the rest of it. So it's quite a serious thing. This is what I was saying before about being prepared for this kind of thing, because if you say, I absolutely love this property, and they say, okay, well, we'll do a proposta di acquisto, we'll do it in this way, we'll ask the owners if they accept it, but you have got to then send it within 3 days or 4 days or 5 days, because the owners won't take into consideration that maybe you live at the other side of the planet. They won't take into consideration that you might not have a Codis Fiscal or a European bank. They just understand the system, how it is here. So, you know, if you suddenly say to an owner, well, we'll give you this much for your property. I'll let you know when I can send you the deposit, because I've got to go back there first, and then I've got to do this, and then I've got to get a way of sending the euros to you. Then I need to do this, and then I need. Owners don't get that, because the system here is quite simple. You want to buy my property? Okay, give me a deposit, and then I'll say that it's yours. If not, it stays on the market. So that goes back to why I'm saying set up this free account with the people. I would do it with the people that we've mentioned. Obviously, I would say that, but at least you can be ready, because you know then, right, okay, I've got that set up. I found this place I love. I'm going to ring them up straight away, do a deal to get me 5,000 euros or whatever I need for my deposit, send it from my bank account to theirs, because I've already got all this set up and ready. Maybe you've already set the money up and it's sat there in your wallet, as they call it, within the foreign exchange company, and you can ring these people up and say, I need to send this money to this person. They will say, well, put it in writing to us. You send an email to say, I need to send 3,000 euros, whatever it is, to this person. Here's the IBAN. Finished. That's how it should be. If you're going to do this and you're serious about doing it, you need to be ready, because if not, people will just say, and even agents as well, agents that are not used to dealing with foreign people, they don't understand any different. That's why they then sort of put the deadlines and that kind of thing. They use the same timings as they would use for somebody local. So they would say, okay, you got that deposit. We've got to agree then to do another kind of deposit within 2 weeks, and then we do the full signing within 3 months or whatever it may. They will apply the same timings as they would if it was somebody just down the road who could do it, who's got a bank account, who's got everything else. So this is why you need to be aware of everything and get things set up and ready. So that's the first one, the proposta di acquisto. I'm proposing to buy your property. Will you accept my offer? And just remember, as I said, that some agents won't even give the offer unless you've signed a proposta di acquisto, because some agents will say, well, it means nothing. You can't do like what you do in your country, where you put an offer and somebody says, yeah, okay, I'll take it off the market. You know, they don't do that here. It's when it's signed and sealed, then it's done. Another one that you may be asked to do, once I just change this, Laura's saying, is the deposit based on a percentage of the purchase price? Yes, to a certain extent. A proposal, a proposta, proposal to buy, because it's quite a basic contract, and it is from the estate agents to say, I'm proposing to buy your property for 90k. I'm gonna say basing it on 100,000 euro property. The proposal to buy, you don't usually pay a huge amount. So I would say maybe 5% or a few thousand. If the property's 20, 30k, 40k, I would usually say anywhere between 3,000 to 5,000 euros. If the property is 100k, maybe 5%. It's a smaller amount. It's a taster just to say, okay, well, it's been accepted. The price, they're still tied in the same, but it's sort of the next contract's a bit more complex, or maybe you're going straight to the final act. So yeah, it's sort of round about that for the proposal to buy. If you go to the next one, or maybe you've been asked to go straight to this one, which is more the kind of system that we would use, especially dealing with sort of private people and that kind of thing, is a compromesso, or the same thing, a preliminary contract. I can never say. I actually said it. God, that's the first time I ever said it without thinking. Anyway, a preliminary. That's twice. Sorry, I'm going mad in this heat. I don't know if you can hear it or if you can see my my hair waving around, but I've got a fan really close here and it's on full blast, just aimed at me. So a compromesso is a promise to buy. It actually translates as compromise, but the document means a promise to buy and a promise to sell. So you can go straight to this. This is more of this is usually where you'd potentially pay maybe 20% or something like that. And within this compromise, so it's more complex as a document. There's more information on there as a document, but the basics are still the same. So you can do a proposta di acquisto and then go straight to a signing with no problem, just into the final act, just in the same way as you can do a compromesso or a promise to buy and go straight to the signing. So in this particular document, a promise, there will be much more information about you, much more about the timings, when it must be done by, when it must be signed by, much more information about the information of the property. Maybe there's some things in there, maybe, I don't know, maybe you're buying some furniture and you want that to be part of it. Maybe there's been an agreement made that, I don't know, let's say it's got a leaky roof and the owners have said that will be fixed and this work will be done and that work will be done, and you can add all these terms into there. So it can be a simple document, but it can also be quite a long document. That's like the lead up to the main thing, if you like. You can also skip all of these if everybody's in agreement and just say, you know what, we'll just go straight to the main act, if you like. So you don't need to do any of these. But if you're dealing with traditional estate agents, you will find you will do one or both, one or the other or both before you get to the final signing. And a lot of that is as well is to guarantee their payment, which is only right too, to guarantee the payment for the compromise, or for the work that they've done, and to guarantee that when it gets to the final signing, you're going to you understand that you've got to pay them as well. So it's all about tying everything up, not just that you're buying it from the owner, but also you're going to pay the estate agents and the owners are going to pay the estate agents. So it's a way of getting all of that information in there. Does the deposit get sent to the seller directly or the notary? Estate agent trust account. Okay, estate agents don't have trust accounts. There's a few estate agents that are asking, and I hate it, for payments to be sent to them. Just don't do it. Usually it will go straight to the owner. If the documents are in order, there's two things. Proposta di acquisto usually goes straight to the owner. Let's say the documents are in a horrendous mess and there's lots of things that need to be done before, I don't know, maybe there's been things that's illegal bills, all that sort of thing. What you can do to safeguard yourself is say, I'm happy to sign, I'm happy to leave money in a check form with the estate agent. Now that may be difficult if you haven't got a bank account, which again, you need to get yourself organized with the Codice Fiscal. So if it is all last minute, when you're out here, you've got half a chance of getting your bank account sorted out, and you actually get a checkbook, believe it or not. You still use checks here, and you would write a check out to the estate agents, sorry, not to the estate, to the owner, that will be held by the estate agent. The owners will then sign, you will then sign. So it's a legal binding contract along with all the things that is binding. It's, even though they haven't got the money, it's still legally binding. But the estate agent will only release it once the documents have come back and everything is fine. So that is an option of doing that as well. But usually it will go to the owner. So if the documents are all in order, we're ready to go, it actually goes to the owner and blocks everything in. Now, the kind of, I'll come back to your question in a second, Natalie. The kind, when it comes to leaving money in some sort of, or in a, what's the word I'm looking at, an escrow account, that's usually done at the end of the when it goes to the final signing. You can do it at the notary's office, and it gets held in the escrow account of the notary. But usually the preliminary contracts, the money will go to the owners. Now, the kind of things that can go wrong are covered in this document. So let's say if you back out, you will lose whatever you paid in. If the owner backs out, or the owner can't produce the documents in time, they have to pay you double back. Now, I know some people say, you know, what if they don't give me double back and all the rest of it? These compromisos, they are fast tracked if there's a problem. The court system is geared up for this type of thing. So I'm going to touch wood now to say I've never had a problem with a compromiso or anything else, because I haven't in all the years I've been doing it. But you are covered in there. But it is serious stuff, because the owners have to pay you about double, and you lose everything if you decide to back out. So they are quite serious. That's why you need to be sure about what you're doing. Now, Natalie asked a good question there. If you can just put that back up, Tony, again, if you can find that for me, please. And that was about the what if you want a geometer? What happens if you want a geometer person to see it? Again, there's no holding back, to be honest with you. Most owners will say, look, I'm fine with a geometer coming out to see it. I'm absolutely fine with any checks that you want to do. But if you want this property and you don't want anybody else to get the property, the only way I will take it off the market is with a deposit, because that's just the way it's done here. That's how people are used to doing things. And also the other thing is that by you paying a deposit, it helps them move on as well. Maybe they need to put a deposit on another property, but they don't want to do that until they're sure that you're buying this property. That there's lots of people to say, lots of people say that you should do it this way. Like, for instance, somebody getting a mortgage. I've had this a few times. Thinking about getting a mortgage, I've been told by a lawyer who deals with all of this that you can put something in the contract to say, if I don't get the mortgage, I can have my money back. Now, people always say things like this, and mortgage companies always say things. They say it's a normal thing. It's not a normal thing, because you've got to explain to the owner. You've got to say to the owner, okay, I'm offering to buy you this property. You're taking it off the market. Maybe 3 months down the line to get a decision, and you want a geometer to go and see it, as Natalie says. Maybe you want a lot of other things to happen before you actually commit properly. So what we're going to do is, we're going to say it's subject to me getting a mortgage, or it's subject to the geometer saying it's okay. The owners are not going to go for that. The vast majority of owners are not going to go for it, because they'll say, well, hang on a minute, you know, I've got to take it off the market, can't show anybody else it, just on the chance that you may or may not get this mortgage, or you may or may not want to see it once a geometer's been there. Again, if you're more prepared, if you have a geometer to come with you, I know it sounds easy for me to say that, but it's all about being prepared. Again, when people come viewing with us, I have a geometer. If there's anything that we'd really need to see, it's done quickly. Because if we say, okay, well, we'll think about buying the property on the basis of what a geometer is going to say, there's a good chance that the owners will just say, well, keep it on the market. We'll keep it on. And if you want to buy it, then I will sell it once I've got this in place. Because remember, they can.
But your device has to be unlocked for that.
What's my phone's talking to me? Did you hear that, Tom? My phone's just said something to me. Anyway, that's unprofessional, me leaving my phone on. But yeah, so you're relying on people sort of doing everything that you want to do. And that's just not how it works here at all. So if you do need somebody to go and have a look at it first, you know, if you've got a good enough reason, let's say there's a huge crack in the place and you want somebody to look at that, sometimes the owners will say, yeah, I understand that, you know, we'll give you some time just to do that. But don't automatically presume they're going to take it off the market, because that doesn't happen very often. We try and have great relationships with, we've had one recently where somebody came, Ron saying it's hilarious. It is. I've never heard my phone do that. I don't know what's happening. And we've had one recently that didn't want to commit. She was terrified to commit so early because she wanted the property, but there were certain things that they wanted to do. And it was a case of speaking to the owners. And we try and get as good a relationship as possible with these people. But at the end of the day, if you love that place, and you definitely don't want to lose it, then you have to sign. You have to sign. You have to put some sort of commitment down. And this is then when lots of people feel vulnerable, and lots of people go onto social media and say and say, I've been asked to do this. Do you think that's right? Then everybody will say, no, don't do that. That sounds ridiculous. No, don't sign this. Don't sign that. Don't sign the other. You need a lawyer. You need a lawyer. You've got to have this. You've got to have that. At the end of the day, if the thing that you're worried about is things like, well, I put 5K on. What if they don't sell and I've got to try and get 10K back off them? It doesn't really matter whether you've drawn up the agreement, a lawyer's drawn up the agreement, the agent's drawn up you're still going to get to that same place, if you know what I mean. So you have to, at some point, where you're buying anywhere in the world, whether you're buying wherever, at some point, you're handing over your money for a property. If you then start thinking, well, what if this happens later? That can be anywhere in the world. What if I buy this property and then it rains and water comes through the roof? What if I buy this property and there's a dog next door that barks continuously all through the night? What if I buy this property? And so on and so on and so on. At the end of the day, here, you do have to be ready to put that commitment down. And it's a system that works. It's just a normal system. So when people ask you to do these, and when agents say to you, you need to sign this to say you've seen this property with me, don't go and ask social media whether that's right or not, because you're going to get loads of people say, well, that didn't happen to me, so that sounds weird, so I wouldn't do it. Well, just because somebody says that doesn't mean that it's not true that the agents will ask that. It is true. That's what they will do. And the last place to ask is social media, because you get all the armchair experts telling you to stay away from Italy. We don't want you here because things are all really, really dodgy, and just stay away. And that's half the time because they're jealous of somebody else possibly buying a nice house or possibly better than what they've bought. It's a ridiculous. I'm not going down that line because it winds me up. The armchair experts are the last people should ask for advice for things like that. Okay, so that is the compromesso preliminary, which can also be drawn up between two private people. So, these are kind of things that we use all the time. I prefer, if possible, just go straight to the final act. If you've got the money in place and everything's ready, why mess around with all these other documents? Let's just go and get it done. We'll do our job as quick as possible, get the power of attorneys in place, get everything else in place, and say to the owners, look, why are we doing this? Because in a month's time, we'll be in the notary's office anyway. That's the way that I prefer. But a compromesso can also be used. If you come to me, found this brilliant property, you absolutely love it, the deal's been done, you've got exactly what you want, we would draw up a compromesso or a preliminary. When I say we, our geometer will do that. He will do a first check on the documents and write the preliminary, the compromesso based on what is seen and everything else, agree all the terms, and then there's a deposit that's paid at that time. So these are the kind of things that we would use. Proposta di acquisto is more what an estate agent would use. Okay, so then the final contract. Oh no, this is another important thing. When you leave a deposit to somebody, there has to be some sort of a forfeit should things go wrong. Now, a deposit is the first word, caparra. I'm supposed to roll my R's. I struggle with rolling my R's. It's just weird. But a caparra confirmatoria is a deposit that has consequences. This is really important because I've seen, again, the same agent that asked people to send money direct to their account, they just did a normal deposit. Now, what does that mean? A normal deposit means I want to buy your property. I'm offering you 100,000 for it. I'm giving you 5K as a deposit. We'll do everything by then. And what happens then is, let's say the owner suddenly says, oh, I've decided I don't want to sell it to you anymore. I've just had an offer, 5K more. Here's your 5K back. And you say, well, hang on a minute. Maybe you've employed a lawyer. Maybe you've sent a geometer out to it. Maybe you've done whatever. You started to send it and you say, well, hang on a minute, that's not fair. So if it's a normal deposit, there's no consequences to it. So you need this particular type of deposit, confirmatoria, which means if there's any problems, then if the owner backs out, they pay you double back, because that's what that particular deposit means. Sometimes you can quote the actual law that it relates to, or you can just use those words, and those words mean that it has consequences. where they pay double back. You can even potentially sue them for damages as well if you had any losses. Whereas a normal kapara that's not that type, or if it's phrased slightly different, if it's done as a anticipo, which is just like I've given you I can't think of the word in English, but I've just given you something just to get moving on this sort of thing. And there's no consequences to that. So what's the point of doing that? Why give somebody some money if there's no consequences if they back out? You may as well just keep the money in your pocket and just say, no, we'll just go to the final act. So just make sure that the kind of deposit that you're paying has consequences to it. And usually I like to see it in a compromiso where it actually tells you what those consequences are. And it usually says that if they don't do X, Y, Z by this time, then they have to pay you double the deposit, and it actually writes how much that is. And if you back out as the buyer, you will lose what you've paid in. So that's an important one as well. And then the last one is the rogito. The rogito is the final signing. That's the end. That's what we're going to talk about next week, which is not next week, the week after next, which is what happens at the notary's office. So when is money due? I hear you say. So the money is due on the day of signing, unless it's been agreed otherwise. So the money needs to be available on that day. Now, in the past, it used to be really easy to open bank accounts for people, and then you would come over. We'd go to the bank in the morning, get a banker's draft, go to the notary's office. We all sit there. You've got your banker's draft in your hand. Give that to the owner. Everything's signed in front of the notary. Everybody disappears, and everything's great. Now, it's much harder to get bank accounts now in Italy for foreign. It's just difficult. When you're here, you can usually go into a branch and open one as long as you have a codice fiscal, your passport, and all the rest of it. But it is not as easy as before. Then you've got to think about, okay, if I'm waiting while I get to Italy, I'm signing on the Friday. I arrive in Italy on the Monday. I open the bank account. It's not going to be open on the Monday. Maybe it would be the Wednesday. Then I've got to get my funds from there to there. So how am I going to do that? I need the guy in the middle. I need the foreign exchange company. Why didn't I set my account up in the beginning? Get that done sooner. And then send it to a bank account. And then I get a check. And you're probably thinking, "What? I didn't know that it was like this." You do now, because that's how it works. So you can't think in the way that you possibly used to in your own country, because you have to think how it works here. So a way around that, there's two ways around that. If the owners agree, this I do probably 30% of the time, that while we're in the notary's office, as long as the owner agrees, the hardest people to get them to agree to is the elderly people, the elderly owner who's saying, well, if I haven't got my money, you're not having anything, and that's the unfortunate people. Sometimes I'm saying unfortunate, it's just the way sometimes some of the elderly owners are, because they're not used to these new ways of doing it. But if you can get the owners to agree to it, you can do the transfer live on the day. The notary needs to agree to it as well, because sometimes there's a delay. Even though people say, no, I can send it you straight away, you just need to call me, I click the button, and then I get a receipt. It's never as quick as that, ever. There's always 15, 20 minutes, maybe half an hour. Maybe the bank needs you to call them. Maybe so-and-so ran because there was a security check, this and that and the other. So you need to have a notary that agrees that there could be a little bit of a delay. And you need the owner to agree that you can do it. And that means then live on the day, that if you're not here, your power of attorney would ring you, or even if you are sat in front of them. This happened to me last week where they were sat in front. The lady got a laptop out and she started typing away to say, okay, everything's fine. Can I send the money? Because you need to send it at that point, because the notary needs to write down the transaction number, because he needs to write on the contract where the money's left and where it's going to. There needs to be that traceability to fulfill the contract. So where it's come from and where it's going to. So you're there, Frank. This lady was doing it on a laptop. Then we had to wait for the confirmation and everything else. So the owner was getting a little bit worried. But in the end, everything was fine. So you can do that. The easiest way, and I think, I suppose it's not the safest, they're both the same, but the easiest way is to send the money to the notary a good week before. It's held in their escrow account, and when everything is fine, the notary will then give the owner two options. They will either send it to their bank account on a banker's bank transfer once everything's been agreed and done, or the notary will issue a banker's draft, and the notary will have the check ready. That satisfies the older generation that are not used to the bank transfer, that don't want to know about that. They'd just rather see a check that they can take to the post office and do with it as they please, which is fair play as well to them. So that is the best way, because it all goes to the notary, and then the notary can pay what needs to be paid. And you can also send your notary fee there and taxes and all that sort of thing as well. The downside is that has a cost. It has a cost of €500. And that seems to be the standard charge is the €500. So it costs that money, but to be honest with you, it's a lot less hassle. And what I will say is, having a bank account in the past, I always used to say, definitely get a bank account. You should definitely get a bank account. You've got to think about your bills afterwards and everything else. Now, I don't think it's worth having a bank account here. I really don't, because you get charged for it as well. It's not a lot, but you still get charged for it. So that 500 that you've paid out to the notary, you'd probably end up paying that out to the bank anyway in sort of 3, 4, 5 years. So it is, I think you're better off doing the 500 beforehand. Eric's saying, what about cash? We don't live in those films anymore. No, it all has to be traceable. When we bought our property, you could we went to the bank and drew cash out. I couldn't believe it. It was like something off a gangster film. There's a very funny story attached to it as well, which one day I will, if somebody reminds me, I will. Well, I'm saying it's funny. I laugh anyway. But no, it involves my wife's grandma at the time that was protecting us. But yeah, so it's cash. No, it's all done by bankers drafts and transfers and all that kind of stuff. I'll just answer this last question. Sonia, how much are agents' fees? Is it a percentage? It's usually 3% with a minimum of €3,000 plus VAT. But there are some people that under 100,000, they're charging 4% at the moment, some agents. So that's but the minimum charge, and remember, that's a commission payment. So it's not, they don't have to do all these lots of other things to do. That's why we've sort of got into the market, because we sort of do a lot more for our payment. We can't ask for a commission because we're not estate agents. So you pay us for services, but estate agents typically will be 3% with a minimum of 3,000 plus VAT. Okay, guys, I know that's a bit of you're probably still as confused as before, but don't be. Trust the system. The system's a great system. It's not got all these holes in it that people like to make you think it is. But use the right people. Don't do dodgy dealings in the back of bars. Don't deal with people that's not willing to give their information out as far as their VAT numbers and all the rest of it. On our websites, we need to put our VAT numbers and registration numbers and all of that type of thing. Whatever you need, it should be there. So don't be afraid to ask whoever you're dealing with. You want everything up front, because that's what it should be. It must be like that, because the genuine people, you've got nothing to hide. In fact, you want to give out your details. You want to explain to people exactly how you work and exactly who you are and what you can and what you can't do. It's important. Trust in the system and just be prepared. I remember those days, be prepared, when I used to be in the Cub Scouts. Anyway, I'm not even thinking about that. Okay, so thank you so much again for joining us. Remember, next week, definitely join us next week. Remember, it's the 10th of August. Can you remember what day that is after? Just mention it. I don't expect anything, but it is my birthday on the 9th. So I expect a few of you to remember when we do it on the 10th, that it was my birthday the day before. And I'm quite open to receive any presents that you may want to send virtually or however you wish to do it. Anyway, thank you so much for joining us. Really appreciate it. Look forward to next week. Make sure you join us. David Nixon will tell us the best way of being prepared, especially when it comes to the money side of things. And if you're interested in opening a free account with him, then do it before next week's show. It doesn't hurt anything. It doesn't give you how many candles somebody said. I'm 1 year before my the one that I don't want to be. I'm 1 year before my. So yeah, 49. I'm holding on to, even though I'm very grey, I'm trying to hold on to my youth. My wife was 50 a couple of weeks. I think I mentioned it on here a few weeks ago. So we always have this thing between the 10th of July and the 9th of August that I'm 2 years younger than her. She said that that's not true, but it is true because I'm 48 as it stands now. She's 50. So that's 2 years, isn't it? How did we get into this subject? Anyway, thank you so much. Make sure you join us next week. And thanks for all your support. I really appreciate it.